Yo, I got a question, man. Like, why is it that, some black people are quick to sympathize with racist um, or like micro aggressive white people? I don't understand it. It's like, you know, sometimes we want to prove to them that we can be objective. As if like proving to white people that we can see their viewpoint or that we have some sense of objectivity is a standard of living. And I know some situations are just normal situations that require analyzing a situation and deciding with yourself whether you think this is right or wrong. Whether you're going against a black person, for a black person, against a white person, and for a white person. But I'm one of my pet peeves, and I say this with love because I think we have to be careful. As much as I am a you know, revolutionary. Like I do think that there is some type of lining in here where we can kind of come together and not be as divisive when we're talking about generation against generation, the different subsectors of the black community, and of course, your common problem when it comes to black people and the divisiveness against some white people. But one of the things that is my pet peeve is when black people, it's like sometimes we don't want to trouble white people with all of the issues that we continually bring up. It's like, man, well, I guess we brought up these issues, or I guess we checked them on these points. Like, let's give them this. And I think the problem with that is like white people will always feel the need to protect their whiteness. Always. There's never I'm going to give you this. I mean, that may be found in, oh yeah, you can come to our, you, not your family, but you can come to our house for this barbecue. Oh yeah, we'll help you, white savior complex. And then sometimes we begin to, confuse that with the things that they are not doing or may be contributing to that is sustaining a systemic problem within our country, within our world. And so we have to be vigilant and we have to be consistent in standing on, what we know to be true, and stop trying to find. It's like stop trying to give sympathy in certain areas. Like if somebody fell and scraped their knee, okay, fine, I can be sympathetic or empathetic, whatever the word may be, to that. If somebody is going through a human issue, we see Instagram videos all of the time with different races and different creeds, and we can understand the human struggle, and I can have empathy for that. But don't find empathy. I also didn't say spew hate, but don't try to find empathy and trying to force yourself to be objectivity. Say, oh well, you can have that, white people, because those white people who are searching for that, who you are appeasing, they're never going to be objective when it comes to the true problems and issues that we face as a community. And so, opening up with that, that was like my opening monologue. I used to watch the late night shows, and I used to love watching Jay Leno and Jimmy Fallon. I was an NBC guy. I didn't really watch David Letterman, but he has a wonderful series now on Netflix that I think everybody should watch. It's very eye-opening, and he allows his artists to just give perspectives and to go into different things and explain what they were thinking here. And he's just an open mind, wanting to learn. And so I want to challenge some of you guys to maybe watch this podcast in the same light, because I do want to talk about Makiyah Bryant. I want to talk about that death, our young sister, our young queen. And yes, let me say this now, right? There's a such thing as functional bias. And I may be operating off of that, but I believe in my functional bias. I think functional bias can also be true. But I'm going to try to just paint the picture of everything that happened. And I think we should all try to search to find a deeper sense of understanding, a deeper sense of what this actually is, especially when it comes to our black women, man, you know, like I think about it, man, our black women historically have always found ways and mechanisms and understanding and the psychology and the emotional intelligence and the strength. They have always found reasoning and truth. That's the word I'm looking for, truth, behind the black male experience. And they've been there through it all. Okay, let's eliminate the lies. Okay, yes, there are relationship problems within the black community. There are relationship problems within the white community, the Asian community, within the Middle Eastern community. Like, but come on, man, if we're gonna be real about it, if we're gonna be real about why the black community and black America is still standing and just black people around, man, ain't nothing like a woman who gives birth to seeds of a nation. It's nothing like a woman. It's nothing like a doubly disenfranchised woman. I think it's time we heal our women. Be real to our women. Stop killing our women. All right? So I want to get into this Makiyah Bryant situation. And let's just get right into it. Like, let's watch this video together. And I want you guys, we're going to watch, it's like 3 videos. All of them are a couple of, maybe 20 seconds each. And I want to break down this thing because I think there are some things that people are missing when it comes to the details or the questions that maybe the investigators are going to have to ask on this case. And let me let you know this right now. She did not deserve to die.
Caller said girls were trying to stab them. Body camera video shows an officer fatally shooting the teenage girl who swung at 2 other people with a knife. A black-handled blade resembling a kitchen or a steak knife appeared to be lying on the sidewalk next to her. Immediately after that, she was shot and fell to the ground. The shooting victim has been identified as 16-year-old Makiyah Bryant. And News Nation's Eric Happerin is live for us.
So let's look at this thing, all right? I'm about to pull it up on my computer, okay? And give me 1 second, man, so we can look at this thing together, right? Open this thing up and watch it.
Blade resembling a kitchen or a...
Right, so you see there she has the knife. It kind of looks as if, I guess, her parent or the man is possibly trying to maybe hit it out of her hand.
Next to her. Immediately after that, she was shot and fell to the ground. The shooting victim has been identified as 16-year-old Makiyah Bryant. And News Nation's Eric Happerin is live for us in the Columbia.
So let's look at that again, and you can kind of hear it in the background going on here.
A blade resembling a kitchen.
So it's resembling some type of... Let's listen to what she has to say. It's important what the analyst says here.
Steak knife appeared to be lying on the sidewalk next to...
Appeared to be lying on the sidewalk next to her. Okay, let's keep watching.
Or immediately after that, she was shot and fell to the ground.
Immediately after that, she was shot and fell to the ground.
Shooting victim has been identified as 16-year-old Makiyah Bryant. And News Nation's Eric Happerin is live for us in the Columbia.
Okay, so here's my thing. And there's another video that I want to show you guys after this. Actually, no, I'm gonna show you after we kind of dive into this. So I have questions. I have some questions. We know, or we've heard, that Makiyah Bryant and her family were the ones who were at home and called the police officers on those who were coming to jump her or were in the process of jumping her. Many of you guys have been saying, what were the parents doing, and let's hold the parents accountable, and that is fine. I'm all for that because we've seen that word being thrown around, and I think that is very important, like accountability. That's all we want is accountability, right? Um, Accountability. The problem I'm not going to say a problem. It's fine. Like, let's hold the parents accountable. Um, but what we've been getting at, and the only way that we're going to be able to succeed and progress to a place that we need to be, and the only way that we have been able to proceed and succeed and progress is by holding everyone accountable, right? And when you have a system that's set up that has the power to take someone's life, I can't say that a life, I just can't definitively say. And I grew up in the project. Shout out to Northwoods. All right, I was on Timberlane. Then we moved into the neighborhood inside Northwoods, which is still a part of it, Love Subdivision. You had up top, you had down bottom, you had Greenside on the other side. And then when they closed the Northwoods Boys and Girls Club, we went down to Mason Court. All right, so anybody who is from the Huntsville area, you know what it is. And then when you get Mason Court, then you had to go to West Side Gym, and then it's Butler Terrace. I mean, that's all boom, all to the south. You know what I'm saying? People like to claim Northwoods to be the north side. But anyways, my point is that I've seen a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of different things. And I cannot say that had the police not shown up, that a life was going to be taken. Now, according to the analyst, she says it appears that there was a knife laying next to her on the ground, and you can see that she had the knife, and then she got shot. And so I'm not sure if it's clear in the first video or in the second video whether or not the girls who were jumping Makiyah initially had the knife. And then Makiyah was the one who picked it up in self-defense. Now I look at the woman, and all I'm doing here is just explaining everything that I witnessed. Now I look at the woman who looked like a woman in the pink sweatsuit. And my question is, while all of this is going on, what is her role? What is she there for? Is she the other parents' kids? And her being in the other person's yard and her just being around, right? And so she does not deserve to die or to be stabbed with a knife because she was around. But I do look at her being in the yard, seeing that the police officer had come, and her still being in the vicinity of what was going on, being in the midst of what was a threat. Now, maybe I should have done more research, but I believe that before this officer pulled up, there were other officers still there, possibly. I don't know, right? I also look at when the initial police officer got out of the car, and I had this video too, but we're just going to keep on going, right? When the initial officer got out of the car and he was close to the action, he had his hand on his gun. He had his hand on his gun, not on his taser. I guess he was not trained to, grab, because it seems as if, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, that the knife was grabbed. Maybe the father was kicking the young girl initially because she was the one who initially had the knife. But when I watched it again, maybe he just kicked her after Makiyah picked up the knife or had the knife, because it also looks as if maybe he was trying to knock it out of her hand. But my point is, when he was close to the situation, he put himself close to that situation. And in that moment, could he have not grabbed Makiyah? I'm talking about the police officer. If he wanted to make a difference, now we can hold the parents accountable all we want. We can hold the parents accountable all we want. But I'm talking about the police officer, the one who was called, who was supposed to be trained to protect and serve. And some people say, well, that's not their training. They're not trained. Well, why are we calling them? And that's our question. Why are we calling them in these situations? What are they trained to do? Well, I'll tell you what I think they should be trained to do. And we'll watch this video right here. So I think that they're trained to be able to stop someone with a knife. That was a grown man, a grown white man. And we've seen, I mean, we've seen plenty of examples, too many examples. But see, what has happened is, right? What has happened is some black people have become so colonized in their mind and have become so in this inferior place of whiteness that even too, we think that young Makiyah, 15 years old, 16 years old, is more of a threat than any white person. You cannot convince me. I've lived on this earth for a long time. We understand the value that is put on young white girls. You cannot tell me if that was a white girl in that situation that they would have shot her. And many of you may also think, well, white people don't do that. No, oh, they do. There's a lot of problems going on right now in many neighborhoods that will not be reported. And I'm not trying to make, suburban life synonymous with just, white people, but we know, how the system works. There's a lot of people, redlining and property tax, a lot of white people in your suburban areas going through so many different issues and problems, but they live to see another day because it's about preserving life. It's about having the attention and the intention to preserve life, not to kill it, not to immediately think that this young lady is a threat because you come out of the car with your hand on your gun. What level of intention do we put on preserving and protecting our young black women? Where was the effort? Where was the critical thinking? Where was the training that is done religiously when it comes to white men, when it comes to white women? And where is the realization? Where's the moment of enlightenment where, I think we can do more. Okay? Now, I'm not going to let anybody, look at movies and look at television and what they think they know about the black community and tell us what we do and what we don't do. But I have learned in this misogynistic society, I want to challenge a lot of men, right? As we have challenged white people, and many of them have taken up the call, or they have challenged themselves to rid themselves of things that they, innately were born into. Some people didn't recognize the privilege. You have to strip yourself. You have to humble yourself. Like I'm gonna be real, man. I'm tired of seeing these misogynistic posts on social media, and people think it's funny. No, it's not. It's not funny. What it is women have just had to live in your world, and so for the longest, they just laughed it off, just like you laughed off those racist jokes. But if you was to be real with yourself, you know that you'll be nowhere without a woman in your world, without your mom, without your girl, without your aunt, without your cousins. And y'all sitting up here just being just totally misogynistic. Like, stop all that, man. Stop it. Stop trying to be the loudest one in the room. Like, give your woman a voice. Like understand, man. Look, I'm tired of it, man. And so my point is, like, when are we gonna fully wake up? Look at everything that has happened in the past couple of years. We go back to Obama. We go back to the protests. We go back to some of these local elections. You look at Georgia and how they were flipped from red to blue. I mean, you look at, man, just black women. Say it with me. Black women, women of color. That young girl didn't deserve to die. She didn't. Everybody has their own opinions. They do. I just don't think she deserved to die. And I think her life could have been saved. I know it could have. From various, for various reasons. You know? And we can't be so quick to try to justify things just to appease, white people who are always feeling the need to bring up another point to protect their whiteness. And so now we want to show them that we have some form of objectivity. We're sorry, we don't mean to bother you. I know we bothered you with these 10 things. Let me show you. And they ain't showing you nothing. What they done showed you? And let me say this too. And even if somebody did do something nice for you or say, hey man, I'm sorry what you're going through. Like, they don't owe you that because they're not supposed to own whatever they supposed to owe you. Like, that is a inevitable right of being a human being. So don't feel all good and high and mighty because somebody allowed you to sit at the table or somebody told you, oh man, he's good. He allowed me. Man, he ain't supposed to. He's not God. We don't want the battle isn't like, oh well, we want to give you guys all of the power and just let us and then just give us some more power. Acknowledge us. If you just acknowledge us more, if you just hand us out some things. No, we don't want no handouts. We don't want no white acceptance. What we want is our inalienable Jesus, help me. We want our rights as humans. Equal opportunity. The pursuit of happiness. And you're not going to find your happiness as a people, as a black people, when you're steady trying to show white people that you can be objective. And you're quick to do it. I get it. Some things look like common sense. I get you can look at this situation and say she had a knife. But what did they tell you at school when you was hungry? Maybe you didn't eat breakfast. Maybe you have problems at home. Maybe you were tired. You didn't feel like doing it. Didn't have a ride to basketball practice. Family members. What did they tell you? You can do it. And why did they tell you that? Because look at this person who did it. Look at this guy who did it. Look at your cousin who did it. You can defy the odds. Look at all of these examples. So I'm going to ask you, before you quit on your black sisters, why don't you look at all of the examples of white women and white men who are still here today, who had guns, who had bats, I mean, anything, nunchucks, assault rifles, missiles. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating myself because I was talking to a friend. I was trying to get opinions on it. Like, I don't know. I, I feel like I might have could have stopped her with that knife. Might I got like cut on my arm? Maybe so. And then to like act like the young girl wasn't. I mean, according to the reports, like they didn't come into her yard and she wasn't getting jumped. I mean, in the heat of battle, they have a thing called I forgot what it is called, but we're gonna call it. Excuse that we in downtown LA. We're gonna call it like heat of passion. That's what it's called, heat of passion. To where if somebody breaks into your house and they kill your son or they do something where while you're in that moment, if you kill somebody or you make a mistake, like you can get off for that because you were in the heat of passion. We know what it's like when your adrenaline is rushing. So ask yourself if people came to jump you, how would you defend yourself? Whether or not, like, yeah, I understand. Like her parents were there, they could have stopped it, but it didn't happen. She was in the moment of what was going on, and she needed to protect herself. And the police should be held to a higher standard than everybody because they hold not a badge. Forget the badge. Forget the honor. They hold a gun. They hold a taser. They hold a bat, a baton. They can put you in jail in a system that is going to keep you. It's designed to keep you in that system. They hold too much power. And so I do not think that young girl deserved to die. I don't. I want to encourage all of you to look deeper into why people are threatened by not only black people, but black women. Let's talk about that. And black young girls. And how they, I think I'm going to make up a word here, how they are adultified in so many different ways. And that's a problem. That indeed is a problem. So I hope that we get accountability. I'm not here trying to put down the reins of justice in terms of what somebody's sentenced to or, but I want accountability means to be held accountable for what it is that you do. And every day, us as humans have to navigate through life making hard decisions. You make hard decisions. And you have to be fully trained if you're going to make hard decisions. And so we understand, like, people are always bringing up black on black crime, and like that we've been held accountable for that for years. Like Johnny shoot Johnny, he go to jail. He doesn't get off. He's aware of the consequences. That's why this Derek Chauvin case was so pivotal because it's like it sends a message to the world. We're not saying that another black person is not going to ever get shot, but we're going to say that maybe this person will think twice, because before then there was no thinking twice. It was almost legal. See, it's illegal to kill another black person. We can deal with our home. We've been dealing with our home issues already. We've been dealing with them. Farrakhan. People don't like to hear that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. They may flag it. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. You can name some modern day people. We've been dealing with things in our community after they came into the community and put crack in it. But not only that, after some of us saw not only an opportunity for social rights, but inevitably was brainwashed, or not even brainwashed, but if you keep seeing a man in the suburbs and with a Bentley and he has the good job and he has the good life and he's dressing this way, like some people wanted also, like social rights to live like the white man and to speak like the white man and to be in the room with the white man. And so some of us, during segregation, because we were segregated, like we were in the neighborhoods with a Madam C.J. Walker, a Shirley Chisholm, a Dr. Johnson, or even a Lonnie, somebody on the corner just giving you game. It don't even got to be a doctor or a lawyer. Like we were just all together, but they broke up our community. J. Edgar Hoover, he wrote letters about it for weeks to the FBI. That was his initiative to bring down the Black Messiah, bring down the unity. And once Fred Hampton was killed and they successfully integrated the Black Panther Party, he said, now we can sit back. And we don't have to do anything else because they will be fighting amongst themselves. So it's important to understand even what a root of infighting between black people has come from. Anytime you redline and put people say, oh, how did they put you in there? No. They put us in the projects. If you don't know, it's been around. It's been everywhere. My mom was teaching my brother and I this stuff when we was young. We was some eyes on the prize. You know what I'm saying? But just in case you haven't learned about it now, because it's everywhere on social media, you know what I mean? Like they after the Great Depression and FDR, people were getting banks from the loans from the bank. How do you think so many successful businesses and people start up? Like they start up with, it costs money to make money. And they were getting loans from the bank and they were denying black people loans. It was in legislation. And then you had suburbs who had codes of conduct and laws and paperwork that even permitted black people to live there. And so then they put black people in neighborhoods that were near more industrial sites, more pollution, low funding areas. And then, your school funding was predicated off of the property tax around the area. So if white people were in suburbs and they built infrastructure that were done by the politicians who had to approve these, buildings on these sites and these licenses, and they built all of these nice, wonderful businesses and restaurants in your area, and so your school is getting more funding. So even when we talk about the lack of education, that is systemic. But still, I'm going to hold my people accountable and say we have to come back into our communities and speak to our young men and our young girls, not looking for results, only aiming for consistency, because sometimes I understand it can be tired coming and speaking to some young people and you feel like you're not getting through and it may be far gone, but no, it's not that they are far gone. It's that you are too inconsistent or too like you got to get down in there. We can do it together. But needless to say, there are people doing that. And we can hold our people accountable to fix the problems that were had against us and the problems that we might have put on ourselves in recent times. But whatever is the consequence of what our people perform or act out on, we're going to receive that. And the problem is, many times, white people don't. They don't. And you may ask, well, why don't they? Well, I'll end with this, and it kind of leads us to one of my episode topics that I'm going to talk about in another episode. Ever since the beginning of Jamestown, there was a ploy. You know, all of this stuff has come out about the royals. And it's like, yo, people are surprised, but they were the original colonizers. They started this whole thing. And, since Jamestown, there was a plan put in place to make the middle class and working white people to feel as if poor people of color, blacks, Latino, natives, were the ones who were preventing them from getting to the top. And if we confuse the white people, wake up. I'm talking to white people now. Wake up. Wake up, white people. If we can, if the 1%, I'm talking about the people with money, the people who are the politicians, connected to like some of the church, like connected to just the scientists, like the 1%. If you even look at now, right? You look at back then, you had the philosophers, you had the Catholic Church, and you even had the Lutheran Church, and so there was a need for a reformation because there were things within the liturgy, and even within the music that was only in one language, and so it allowed the church to be able to control people. But that was one of the reasons that Martin Luther wanted to have a reform, because he wanted to bring things more on the spirit and on a personal relationship. So they started to, some of these composers, Heinrich Schütz, forgive me how to say his last name, but these composers, they started to translate these things in other languages so people can have their own personal connection and not be controlled from a political standpoint. And so if you look at that, you'll see that now. I mean, Bill Gates, I don't know. They say he says some crazy stuff out here, but people with money, man. And so if they can keep you patrolling us, they already patrolling us through like generations and of systemic, setbacks and downfalls and traps. But on top of that, if I just go to my local Best Buy and the working white man who's struggling maybe to, keep his family afloat, sees the black man, oh, he's not going to give me that job over the white man. Maybe. Times have changed a bit. But my point is, if they can keep a specific group of people from getting to the money, they can get richer. And then if they can also keep their group of people to keep another group of people down, then they can also continue to get richer. But not only that, they can justify making means off of labor that doesn't involve their own hands, their own backs, their own feet. And that has always been the ploy of money. It has been systems set up to make your money make money for you. I mean, if you were in control of resources, if you were the Federal Reserve, or if you were the what do they call it? The European system, right? All of the European people who are kind of on the same exchange. If you created that, I mean, you got to be fair. You have to be legal, but wouldn't you create so many loopholes that would allow you to work less? And so when they can create this image, and not only create an image, but create a lack of resources, We see what they do when they are desperate. We see what they have done. They have acted out on genocide around the world. We see what the colonies did, the 13 colonies. We see what they did when they broke away from the British. Out of desperation, they fought. They were honorable, though. They weren't thugs. But if we can devalue a person's life, and if we can put it on the television that this person life, that's why we say Black Lives Matter. Is because not only are we being killed, but more importantly, for those of us who are living, we are being devalued. And some of us can't even recognize the devaluing that we put on our own lives and the standard that we hold ourselves to that is different than that of a white person. And so again, we try to show them that we can be objective. Look at me. And so they're going to continue to push back. They're going to continue to protect their whiteness. They're never going to be objective with you because we want to devalue your life. We want to lock you up in prisons. That's what I want. I'm talking about that in one of my other episodes. The private prison industry. I know we've heard stuff about it, but we're going to really dig into it. What they're doing down in my home state of Alabama. Got slavery going on. And you got members of the big house or slave catchers, members of the field, night watchers, who are continuing the systemic devaluation of your life. And I think now is the time for us to really focus, as we have focused on the Black Lives Matter movement, as we have focused on the LGBTQ movement, as we have focused on gun control, as we have focused on the Me Too, the women's movement. I think now is a time for men, black men in general, to really strip themselves of their inevitable misogynistic idioms of their life and to begin to learn and give space and really dig down deep and recognize the devaluing that goes on when we talk about a black woman. And I think we need to start there. I know what common sense may point out to be. I know what your logic may point out to be. But we've found throughout history that there's always more. I want to challenge you guys to dig a little deeper and more when we talk about the death, yet another name, of Makiyah Bryant and the system that has plagued us for so many years. I do think that this will be a turning point. I keep her family in prayer. You know, and I just want to challenge us to be there, to find reason, to find logic, to find a place within us to be there for our black sisters as they have perpetually and continuously and consistently been there for us. This is it, and this is your boy, Justin Jordan. All things, everything, where we talk about sports, politics, music, culture, everything. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to my first episode. And yay. Peace out.